Have you ever wanted to pick up your PlayStation 5 without actually picking up your PlayStation 5? Well, welcome to the world of the PlayStation Portal, a device that Sony insists is not a handheld console, but somehow still feels like one of the most interesting gadgets they've released in years. Now, before we jump into everything the Portal can and can't do, I want you to imagine something. Picture this. It's late at night. You're comfortable, you're tired, and your PS5 is sitting all the way across the room, glowing, judging you, waiting for you to stand up. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could stay exactly where you are and pull your entire PS5 library straight into your hands? That's the promise of the PlayStation Portal. Freedom, convenience, and surprisingly, debate. Today, we're diving deep. And I mean really deep. Not just the specs, not just the features, not just what Sony advertised. We're talking real experience, real limitations, unexpected surprises, secret strengths, and the honest truth about whether the PlayStation Portal is a convenient miracle or just a strange experiment from a company that sometimes likes to confuse us. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's start at the beginning. The PlayStation Portal looks like someone took a DualSense controller, sliced it in half, and stretched a screen across it. And honestly, that description is exactly what it feels like in your hands. You get the full DualSense experience. The adaptive triggers, the haptics, the shape, the build quality. Everything feels familiar. That's the first thing people notice. It doesn't feel like a toy. It feels like PlayStation. But the moment you realize what it does, you also realize something else. The Portal is not playing any games on its own. It's not a PSP. It's not a PS Vita. It's not even a cloud streaming handheld. The PlayStation Portal is a remote control for your PS5. A very sophisticated, very beautiful remote control, but a remote control. And that's where things get interesting. Because even though that sounds simple, the experience can feel surprisingly powerful. When it works well, it doesn't feel like remote play at all. It feels like your PS5 followed you into another room. The gameplay is smooth, fast, and immersive, and the DualSense features make it feel much closer to the real thing than you'd expect. But here's the twist. The Portal is only as good as your internet. And yes, that includes the internet inside your house. You can have the fastest router in the world, but if your Wi-Fi signal is weak where you're sitting, the Portal will let you know, usually by freezing at the worst possible moment. The first time this happens, your brain immediately goes, wait, is this my fault or Sony's fault? And the truth is, it's a little bit of both. Now, here's something people don't talk about enough. Even though the Portal streams from your PS5, it doesn't replace your TV. It doesn't try to. What it does is it frees your PS5 from your living room. It turns the entire house into your gaming space. Bedroom, kitchen, backyard, laundry room. If the Wi-Fi reaches it, you can play there. Suddenly, games that once required you to sit in one spot become portable experiences. Story games feel cozier. Grinding in RPGs feels easier. And online games, well, those are a little tricky. Let's be honest, competitive shooters and streaming don't mix well. But for almost everything else, the Portal feels surprisingly comfortable. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, because we all heard it, we all saw it, and we all wondered the same thing. The PlayStation Portal does not support cloud gaming. And when Sony said that, the entire internet blinked, tilted their heads, and said, wait, what? Because on paper, it would make sense, right? A handheld device that streams games. Cloud gaming is the obvious match. But the Portal is stubborn, and Sony designed it for one purpose: to connect only to your own PS5. Not Sony's servers, not the cloud, not anything else. And that leads to the question everyone keeps asking. Why would Sony do this? Some people think it's because Sony wanted simplicity. Some think it's because the cloud isn't ready. Some think it's because Sony wants to sell PS5 consoles, not replace them. And maybe all of those reasons are true. But here's the real secret. The PlayStation Portal is not a traditional product. It's not meant to replace anything. It's meant to extend your PS5, not compete with it. And once you understand that, the entire device makes more sense. But let's be honest, the Portal is not perfect. No device is. So let's talk about the real-world experience. The screen is beautiful. Colors pop. The brightness is solid. But the refresh rate? It's 60 Hz, and while that's fine for most PS5 games, competitive players will notice the difference instantly. If you're used to 120 Hz gaming on your TV, the Portal feels slower. Not unplayable, but definitely different. And the audio? Well, here's another twist. The Portal does not support Bluetooth headphones. Instead, Sony gives you PlayStation Link, a low-latency wireless audio system that works beautifully but requires specific accessories. If you already own the Pulse Explorer or Pulse Elite, you're good. If not, you're buying new gear. But let me tell you something people don't expect. Using the Portal without headphones might actually be better than you think. The speakers are surprisingly loud, clear, and crisp. Watching cutscenes or playing story-driven games actually feels cinematic, which you wouldn't expect from a handheld device. Now here's where things get surprisingly emotional, because the Portal does something no other device really does. It gives you your PS5 when your PS5 is unavailable. And for some people, that's game-changing. Families who share TVs, parents who need a quiet device, students who don't want a big setup in a small dorm, people who travel, people who simply want to relax away from their desk. That's the hidden magic of the Portal. It creates moments of gaming that wouldn't exist otherwise. You ever have those evenings where you only have 20 minutes to play? You don't want to fire up the TV, switch inputs, adjust the sound, set everything up. Sometimes you just want to play. The Portal makes that possible. You ever want to continue a game, but someone else is watching TV? The Portal gives you the option instantly. You ever want to play a cozy RPG in bed with the lights off? The Portal makes it feel perfect. You ever want to level up a character or complete side quests without committing to the full living room setup? The Portal is made for that. But let's answer the biggest question. Is the PlayStation Portal worth buying? And the truth is, the Portal is one of those rare devices where the value depends completely on your lifestyle. If you only play games on your TV and you love that experience, the Portal is not essential. If you want full graphical power, no input lag, and full display refresh rates, the Portal won't replace your main setup. But if you want freedom, real freedom, the ability to take your PS5 experience with you around your home, the Portal starts feeling less like a luxury and more like a companion. And here's something interesting. People who own the Portal often say the same thing. I didn't expect to use it as much as I do, but now I use it every day. Because it's not about replacing the PS5. It's about extending it into the parts of your life where gaming didn't fit before. But let's talk about the future. Because the Portal, whether Sony intended it or not, hints at something much bigger. Portable PlayStation gaming is back. Not the way we thought, not the way the PSP or Vita did it, but in a new form. A form that connects directly to your main console. A form that blends convenience with power. A form that could easily evolve. Imagine a future Portal with cloud support. Imagine a Portal with built-in processing power. Imagine Sony re-entering handheld gaming with hybrid ideas. The Portal feels like the beginning of something, not the end. And that's why the conversation around this device is so fascinating. It's not just about what it does today. It's about what it represents tomorrow. When you pick up a PlayStation Portal, you're not just playing games in a new way. You're experiencing a glimpse of what PlayStation believes the future of gaming could look like. Flexible, connected, instantly accessible. And whether you love it, hate it, or feel completely confused by it, you can't deny one thing. Sony took a risk. A bold one. And sometimes, risky ideas are the ones that push the industry forward. So here's the final question. Not whether you should buy the Portal, but whether the Portal fits the way you live your gaming life. Do you want convenience? Do you want freedom? Do you want to take your PS5 beyond the living room? If the answer is yes, the Portal becomes a surprisingly powerful tool. If the answer is no, well, the Portal still represents something exciting, a company willing to explore weird, creative hardware again. Whether you're a fan of it or not, the PlayStation Portal has started a conversation, and conversations like this shape the future of gaming. So, as you listen to this, think about your own habits. Think about the way you play. Think about those moments in your week where gaming would be possible, if only it were more convenient. And then ask yourself, is the Portal a device you didn't know you needed, or a device you're completely fine without? Because that's the real story of the PlayStation Portal. A device that doesn't try to be everything. A device that doesn't pretend to be a console. A device that simply asks, do you want PlayStation anywhere in your house? And the answer is different for everyone. But one thing is clear. The Portal is bold, unusual, and unforgettable. And whether you end up loving it or laughing at it, you won't forget it. So if you're curious, if you're tempted, if you're even slightly interested, maybe it's worth trying. Because sometimes the best gaming experiences aren't the ones you expect. They're the ones that fit into your life in ways you didn't see coming. And that is the real magic of the PlayStation Portal.